When the COVID-19 pandemic hit back in March and things started shutting down, many businesses scrambled to figure out how they were going to stay afloat. Dean's Beans, a company with a mission statement to use coffee to create positive change around the world, came up with a creative and unexpected way to help out their neighbors right here in Western New England. Producer Dave Fraser shares this story, and full disclosure, Dean's Beans is a sponsor of NEPM.
Dean Cycon makes his way through the roastery and warehouse of his organic coffee business he started back in 1993. The 67-year-old CEO of Dean's Beans in Orange, Massachusetts, is also a lawyer with a background in advocating for environmental causes and Indigenous peoples' rights. Dean's Beans runs programs in countries they get their coffee from, like Colombia, Nicaragua, and Ethiopia. These programs help to sustain and develop the farmers who produce their product.
And it was a real hard sell in the coffee industry for many, many years, because coffee companies would say, why should we give anything to the farmers? We already pay them. You know, there was such a disconnect. And I'm really proud that Little Dean's Beans and Little Dean Cycon are one of the seeds that allowed this new awareness in coffee industry to grow.
The company works with thousands of farmers worldwide and distributes its organic coffee across the country. Last year, they roasted about 600,000 pounds of coffee, according to Cycon. But when the pandemic hit this past spring, they saw their wholesale business drop by about 80%, almost overnight.
So we were in trouble. However, I promised all the employees, nobody's going to get laid off, nobody's going to lose their health care, their benefits. We're in this together. We'll make it work. We've got a line of credit. If we got to take it, we'll take it. Nobody's losing anything here. Then a miraculous thing happened. Within a week, our web sales tripled.
Tripled because coffee drinkers were now brewing more at home due to social distancing and telecommuting. But as nice as it was to have money coming in from online sales, Cycon admits he found it rather odd and a little unsettling that during this pandemic, his company was actually making more money than they were before.
You know, what can we do with this extra money? And we looked around, and so many of the communities that have supported us for 27, 28 years were really suffering. And who was suffering the worst? The kids. So child hunger, food insecurity, to call it a nicer term, tripled in many of the communities around here. And so the school feeding programs were deluged with kids, not only because they're low income, but now their parents have lost their jobs. So child hunger went from being a slow burn problem around here to being a crisis.
School systems like Springfield, who prior to the pandemic was serving breakfast, lunch, and a snack to about 25,000 students daily, was now seeing a much higher demand for meals, especially with the city's homeless population, according to Food Service Administrator Tim Gray.
For a certain portion of our students, the meals program is basically sometimes the only meals that they get every single day. So we thought it was important to continue servicing our students. We're serving roughly 15,000 meals daily.
Dean's Beans not only contributed funds to help Springfield maintain their food service program, but it also contributed to several other school districts around the region. Contributions were based on the number of students the district feeds each day.
That's why we're calling it the kids' stimulus package. Banks get stimulus packages. Airlines get stimulus packages. What about the kids? If the kids don't have those meals, they can't think. They can't function. If you're hungry, you can't think about math. You're thinking about your stomach. We know that. So it's imperative that these kids get fed, and that's why we're focusing on this.
It's just great to see that in an emergency situation like we're facing now, that small companies, big companies are all stepping forth and helping out the cause by helping us financially, because that's the best way that we can get help, is so that we can continuously service our students and in the area and surrounding areas.